What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're actually going to be going from Irvine up to downtown Los Angeles in afternoon rush hour traffic. We're going to see in this drive with Tesla's latest update to see how Autopilot does on our way up in rush hour traffic. So thanks for watching another video and welcome back to the channel. Let's get into the video. All right, so we're already on the highway going about 40 miles an hour. I'm going to increase the speed up to 65 miles an hour. Autopilot wants to get into the left lane here using the auto lane change. So let's go ahead and trigger that. There really wasn't, there was a car or a truck in that lane, but Autopilot was able to make that lane change pretty easily. The sun is coming from the left side of the vehicle, so it's not directly at any of the cameras except this camera on the driver's side. Auto lane change once again to the left lane again. There is a car right there, that Lexus SUV, so we're going to give it a little bit before giving it the auto lane change approval. Just going about 40 miles an hour here. Okay, looks like the lane is kind of open now. There is a van there, but triggered the auto lane change and it went in pretty easily. It thought for a second and then it made the lane change. It looks like auto lane change wants to get into the left lane again, so let's go ahead and give it that confirmation and we are good to go. A little bit of braking here. This car in front of us is going to the right, but now it's the Autopilot's increasing speed a little bit. The Tesla Autopilot system wants to get into the left lane again, but this lane is actually much faster. But it wants to get into the left lane for some reason because it thinks it's following the route, but we can stay in this lane and go up to 5 north pretty easily without any interruptions. Increasing speed now to 47 miles an hour. Now auto lane change, we're going to give it the confirmation to go into the left lane, and it did it pretty easily even though there's a truck in this lane. We're increasing speed now to 54, but I can see that there's cars braked up ahead of us, so we're probably going to slow down pretty quickly right after that. Tesla is braking for some reason because it wants to get in the left lane, so I'm going to go ahead and press on the accelerator. It wants to get into the HOV lane for some reason, but I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. It just braked a little bit right there, but I just canceled the auto lane change. I'm going to cancel it again. You can see how annoying the auto lane change can get because it thinks it needs to follow a certain route because of HOVs or whichever, but I just keep canceling it. It keeps wanting to go into that lane, and I'm just going to keep canceling because right now it's a double or quadruple yellow solid lane change or solid lines, and you can't necessarily go into those lanes. Thanks for watching another video, guys. If you're new here, my name is Dennis. I have a Tesla Model 3 and a Nissan GTR, and I make videos about my experience. So if you're interested in any of that, please hit that subscribe. I'm always interested in who watches these videos, and I'm interested to see if you guys watch my videos if you own a Tesla Model 3 or if you're interested in a Tesla Model 3. So comment down below if you own a Tesla Model 3 or any other Tesla and you like watching these videos to see how other people interact. Or if you're interested in buying a Tesla, comment below that you're interested in buying a Tesla. I'd love to see what portion of my viewers own a Tesla or are interested in buying a Tesla. We're pretty much crawling right here. We have another 38 miles to go to get back to Los Angeles, and it's going to take us an hour. We're going to arrive at around 5:15 p.m., and it's really just because there's a lot of traffic, even though it's only 4:18 p.m. right now in Orange County. So now, of course, auto lane change for some reason wanted to go to the right lane, even though it kept recommending us to go into the left lane. So I just went and canceled that because we can basically just stay in this lane and to follow our route. Auto lane change is recommending we go in that lane again. I just went ahead and canceled it, and it for some reason just really wants to get into this right lane now after reminding us or recommending to us a bunch of times to go into the left lane. But I'm just going to go ahead and cancel it. This lane seems to be going faster than the right lane, so we don't need to necessarily change to go into the right lane. Some heavy braking from Tesla, as looks like a couple cars in front of us are braked pretty heavily. We are just crawling along on the highway right now, going about 20 miles an hour. There's definitely some traffic this afternoon or evening. I kind of want to get into the HOV lane, but I haven't put on my stickers yet, even though I've been meaning to put those on. I bought the magnets and everything from a recommendation from a viewer, so thank you for that. And I just need to attach them to the car so I can make them easily so I can easily put them on and off when I want to use them or not. We seem to be increasing speed a little bit to 40 miles an hour. Cruise control speed setting is still set to 65 miles an hour. Tesla Autopilot still wants to go into the left lane, but we're just going to stick in this lane, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel that auto lane change. Yeah, for some reason, Tesla Autopilot is being super annoying today with these auto lane change recommendations or requests. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and cancel it, and I'm also going to just turn off Navigate on Autopilot. So we're just going to make sure it just stays in this same lane all the way up. So that's one thing. I've definitely done this in the past in which it just recommends way too many times to go into different lanes when I just want to stick in one lane. So I just went ahead and turned off Navigate on Autopilot just so that I can just stay in this lane all the way up towards the I-5 until we make different decisions. Just threw it out of Autopilot because it wasn't accepting the scroll wheel as a nag timer. I threw it back in and then increased speed up to 72 miles an hour. We're going about 57 miles an hour right now. There's a huge bus on our left. It's increasing speed slowly, but we should be closing this gap. It looks like the traffic is lifting up a little bit. I know that it usually lifts up a little bit in this next area in terms of the traffic, but the traffic usually picks up in the Disney World, Anaheim area. A little bit of braking from this Lexus coming into our lane. Looks like the BMW SUV also came into the R lane up there, but now it's leaving. We're increasing speed a little bit to 70 miles an hour. A little bit of heavy braking right there that freaked me out a little bit. There's a bus behind me that's a pretty big bus, and they kind of braked probably last minute as well. I guess these cars all decided to stop, and the Tesla handled that pretty well and braked. A little sudden, but it braked. It recognized the cars that were slowing down in front of us, and it braked accordingly. This van wants to come into our lane. Looks like it's one of those new Toyota Siennas. Tesla was being nice and allowed him to come into our lane and gave it some gap. A little bit of heavy braking. Tesla Autopilot system's definitely been being a little bit jerky today. I wonder if it's because the cameras are dirty, but it seems to be braking and accelerating pretty erratically on this drive through rush hour traffic. Increasing speed to 56 miles an hour. Looks like we are passing the Santa Ana area now. We're now passing the Disney World area, and traffic has picked up the pace a little bit. I'm still a little hesitant on if I should turn on the Navigate on Autopilot or not. I just don't want the system to keep recommending different auto lane changes when it doesn't need to, because we're basically on the I-5 North just going all the way up to downtown Los Angeles. But I just turned on the Navigate Autopilot, and what do you know, just like that, it's recommending that we go into the HOV lane. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel it to see if it recommends it again, but today's drive has definitely been pretty annoying from the Tesla Autopilot system, because it just keeps wanting to recommend that we go into the HOV lane using auto lane change when we really don't need to at this point. At one point it was a little bit faster, but there was a double solid line that you couldn't actually go into that lane. But for some reason the Tesla Autopilot system recognized the double white solid lines, but it still wants to go into the HOV lanes. So hopefully with one of the newer updates, we'll see that feature in which it can recognize that it can't actually go into those lanes, I guess, legally or following the rules. But as of this version, it's still recommending and trying to go into the HOV lanes. All right, so right now we're braking a little bit for some reason, even though the cars in front of us is not braking at all. We've slowed down from 65 miles an hour down to 62. Now the car in front of us moved out of the lane, and now we've increased speed up to 75 miles an hour. Even though the car in front of us is braking, Autopilot is kind of coming to a slow stop. That was definitely a little bit scary there, because I wasn't sure if it was going to brake at that last moment or not. But it definitely slowed down pretty gradually. As long as I trust in the Tesla Autopilot system, it did slow down to pace the car in front of us. Car in front of us braked a little bit again, so Tesla Autopilot system slowed down to 50 miles an hour. Looks like the nag timer is not accepting the scroll wheel, so I just threw it out of autopilot and then threw it back into autopilot. Now I'm increasing speed up to 79 miles an hour so that we can pace the traffic in front of us. All right, so the Tesla Autopilot system right there recommended that we go into the right lane. So I just went ahead and gave it the confirmation to go into the right lane using the auto lane change. And then it went into that little bit of pump braking right there for some reason. I can't figure out why. I think it was because of the bridge in front of us. The cars in front of us did not brake at all. But I do know we're about to run into a pretty dense traffic area because we go from like 4 lanes down to I think 3, or about 6 lanes down to 3. And on top of that, it's a construction zone area that we typically go the opposite way in my morning drives, but this time we're going the other way, so we'll see how Autopilot handles that area. For some reason, Autopilot wants to get into the left lane right now, even though it really doesn't make any sense to go into that left lane. So for some reason, Autopilot is today has been just recommending a lot of lane changes that really make no sense at all. A little bit of accelerating. This truck, or these couple trucks and these cars, are all braking ahead of us. Autopilot still wants to get into the left lane, even though we keep passing these cars on the left side. We really should be getting in the right lane because the right lanes are going a lot faster, but I guess they've programmed it so you shouldn't really pass on the right side. You can only pass on the left side. We are about to enter the construction area zone, and this is where it goes from 5 lanes, I believe, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where it goes from 5 lanes down to, I think, 3, and it's while also entering a construction zone. So let's see how Autopilot handles this. We're doing a little pump braking, or pump and then accelerating and then braking. This lane right here that we're in right now merges and turns into 1 from these cars on the right hand side. So let's see how Autopilot can handle this. I think it's going to glitch out a little bit because it looks like these cars just kind of merge into our lanes, and there really isn't any other markings to show the Autopilot system that these cars are coming in. So right now it's freaking out a little bit. This car, it came in from the right side, and now it just doesn't know really where to go at all. It's struggling a little bit. It let the car go, and now we are kind of closing that gap between the car in front of us. So that was a pretty interesting one where Autopilot is trying to figure out these lane changes. Here's another one where this camera decided to sharply cut in. So that's good for the Autopilot system because then it won't drive up right next to the car. Here's another coming in, a little bit of sudden braking right there from the Autopilot system, a little bit jerky, but it's now letting this truck come into, or this SUV come into our lane. And now those cars have left that lane, and now it's just gonna increase speed after that and close this gap. Autopilot system wants to get into the left lane. We don't necessarily need to get into that, so I'm gonna go ahead and cancel it. We are in the construction zone right now. So let's see how Autopilot handles this area with the different lane markings. The sun isn't facing directly at us, so it should be able to see these lane markings pretty clearly, but you can see that there are construction barriers on the right-hand side. So hopefully Autopilot doesn't get too close to that, but you can see right here, there's a lane marking or an old concrete line going to the right, but Autopilot didn't jiggle in the lane and stayed pretty solid in this lane. Autopilot's jiggling in the lane a little bit. It almost wanted to go left there with that lane marking going to the left, but we are pretty much doing pretty well in this construction area zone, actually. The lane is kind of widened a little bit for some reason. Autopilot still wants to get into the left lane, even though it's going about the same speed that we're going currently. Now it's not accepting my nag timer, so let's go ahead and kick it out of Autopilot and throw it back into Autopilot. So yeah, we just basically exited out of that construction area zone, and it did it pretty well, except for at the end it didn't accept my nag timer off the scroll wheel, where it didn't accept the scroll wheel to appease the nag timer, so I had to throw it out of Autopilot and then throw it back into Autopilot. Now there really shouldn't be any traffic in this next area until we get closer to Los Angeles. So we're going to increase speed to about 79 miles an hour, and so we can close some of this gap. Autopilot again once again to the left lane, even though we are obviously, it's detecting that we're going faster in this lane, but for some reason it keeps wanting to get into that left lane. So we're going to go ahead and cancel it, and we're just going to stay in this lane. I'm going to go ahead and go into the auto lane change now, because now it's finally going faster, but for some reason it doesn't want to go into this lane. There's some next couple areas out right here in this commute that I do know that there used to be some shadow braking before, in which it would for some reason think that the wall on our right hand side was a car for some reason, or so it'd glitch out. So let's see how Autopilot handles this next area to see if it does some shadow braking. And again, Autopilot once again to the left lane, but there is a car speeding up, so there's not going to be enough time for the Autopilot system to make that lane change. So I'm not going to go ahead and trigger it just yet. Once this car goes past us, then we're going to go ahead and trigger it. Lane's pretty open. There is another car, but it seems to be making the auto lane change pretty well. There's the bridge above us that we just passed under, but it was able to go through. And okay, a little bit of braking right here for no reason. There's no cars behind us, for a good amount. It's now slowing down to like 50 miles an hour for some reason, right on the highway. Everybody's passing us. So I'm just going to go ahead and accelerate. There's another video in which Autopilot is just like freaking out at that one area. It always slows down in that one area for some reason. So I'm going to increase speed up. It actually reduced my cruise control speeding as well. So can't figure out why it just suddenly freaks out in that area and wants to slow down to like, we were almost down to like 45 miles an hour. When the cars around us were going much faster. Here again, slowing down for no reason. Autopilot is just having a grand old time today. Just glitching out. That's 2 glitches in the past mile in which it just slowed down for no reason, where it seems like no reason. Can't really figure out what it's detecting, but it just slowed down, and now we're just increasing speed after that. A little bit of braking right there because these cars up ahead are braking, and of course there's this huge semi-truck in our right lane next to us. And Autopilot just loves hanging out right here, right next to the huge trucks. They should probably make a rule where it doesn't float around semi-trucks to the left or right of it, and either stays in front of it or behind it. But I did notice at that last second that Autopilot wanted to actually, of course, auto lane change to the left again, but we just didn't give it that confirmation. So maybe if it didn't have the confirmation on for auto lane change, that it would have just made that change for us to get away from the semi-truck. Yeah, so definitely the Autopilot system has been a little bit of a struggle bus today. Again, see right here, it wants to get into the left lane. These cars are braking in front of us, so I'm not going to go ahead and trigger that lane change. But it's definitely been a little bit of a struggle today with just a lot of braking, or what it feels like to me, a lot of unnecessary braking, a lot of unnecessary auto lane changes. And it just seemed to be struggling this afternoon. It's like this morning it did pretty fine, but this afternoon drive in rush hour traffic, it just seems like it was just having a tough time. But yeah, this is where I'm going to go ahead and end it. Thanks for watching another video, and please comment below on what you thought or how you thought Autopilot did today, or if you're running into the same exact issues if you have a Tesla, or if you have any questions on the Tesla Autopilot system. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please hit that like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.